Folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and the other day I had a request to show how to make this pair of earrings. This is one of my personal pairs. Somebody saw me wearing them on one of the shows and said, could you show us how to make those? So yes, I can. I did not have a video of them because, well, this was the first time I'd tried making them. It was more or less an experiment, and they turned out great. So anyway, I'm going to turn down and I'm going to show you what we're going to do to make these. Okay, we have some beads here. These have a very large hole. You have to have a very large hole bead for the pieces to all go through here. This is actually about 5 meters or millimeters. So, like I say, an extremely large hole bead. Now, I had to search to find this pair in my stuff because, well, it's like I say, it's a very, very large hole. You don't have that large of a hole very often. But I did find this pair. Then I'm going to use these beads as my dangle. So, like so. And of course I'll need some wire to do those. Now I may not be able to use a regular head pin because there's not a lot of excess room in this hole here, see? So I may need to get out some really lightweight wire to use it. This is what's on this, is some really lightweight wire. And then I've got these bell making pliers, which I have to admit are not my favorite. I don't like them, but they'll work. And what we need is we're going to use this gold wire as the interior wire and the twisted extra wire. Well, no, I might get some square wire out. This was actually square wire, I'm pretty sure, that I used here. Yes, it is. So we'll see if I decide to use this just as the base or as the square wire as well. Where the square wire's at. So let's put these up here. We want them out of our way somewhat. I'm going to put this earring right here down the side so you can sort of see what we're trying to do here. Its mate can go up there. And so what we need first is about 20 to 21 inches of the copper wire. And this is going to be for the coil. Now, I do not have a coil maker, so I use, there's 12. And then we need another 8 to, I'm going to go with 21 inches. Depending on how big of a loop you want is how much of this you want. You can either go with a smaller amount, or you can go with a larger amount. The smaller amount will, of course, make a smaller ring of wire, or the larger amount would make, I'm going to cut the second one right now so they're the same size, would make a larger loop. I want these wires to be the same so that when I make the loops, the looped pieces, this, whatever you want to call it, the spun piece, that they are more or less the same length. So I will probably do them both at the same time, one right after the other, so that before I get working on them with other stuff, in other words, wrapping them around and then cutting the other wire for them, that we have the same length of coils. So we'll put the copper away. We're not going to need it anymore. And I don't need this for right now. Now this set, my original plan was to use this set of bell making pliers, but I really don't like them. For some reason, I just don't like their handle. I like the more rounded handle than this. So I'm just going to take and use my smallest bill here. And because it's just going to push it off the end as it goes along. So what we need to do is wrap it so that when it wraps, this end is going towards the front of your bell. So look, come on, Rose. So like so. Just keep wrapping this. Now I've got mine sort of loose. You can always tighten it up if you need to. See, I'm getting towards the bottom here, so I'm going to have to try and ease this up some, up to the end here again, so that we've got room down here. Try not to wrap it too horribly tight because it'll, oops, I pulled it all the way off. Don't want to do that. But it will try to be stuck on here if you don't, if you wrap it too tight. So we're just going to keep wrapping this till we get to the end of the wire. Then we'll do the same with the other one. Now we're at the end of our wire here, and we can do this one of two ways. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my regular pliers and I'm going to tuck that. This one actually could use a little tucking border here, but that's all right. Now we pull it off. Come on, you've been coming off easily. Let's come off. So there is our one coil done. Now if you've got some little gaps, it's not that big of a deal. You can sort of push them together with your fingers, just like this. And besides that, it's going to pull apart some when you wrap it around your piece of wire. So now we've got the one done, and we need to do the second one. See how this one is a little bit wonky right here at the end? It's not really that big of a deal. Like I said, it's going to twist around like so. So everything is going to come a little apart anyway. So it's going to be like so. This actually looks like it might even be a little shorter than the other one, but that's all right. So now we need to do our second one. We'll do it exactly the same. I'm going to tap the beginning piece down a little bit so that it stays up pretty well down. And I did this the wrong way because it should be looping the other way so that the wires come inside here. So I will probably take it off and flip it, like so. Now I'll just put it on like I would have if I was doing it the other direction. Okay, now we need to take our pliers and tuck that wire in. So it's not poking out when we make our final pair of earrings. So we're not going to use our, we will need them again to make our loops, but right now we want to make sure our springs or coils are about the same length. And it looks like I have one a little longer than the other one. though it could be because it's popped up a little bit. So let's just push them together. Now that one is a little bit longer. So we're going to cut just a couple of the coils off here at the end. Now if you like round jump rings, you can actually cut them into a jump ring if you wanted to by just cutting it right here. And now I have a little round copper round jump ring. Now let's see if they're about the same now. They're looking pretty good. So we have our 2 coils. Now what we need to do is get some of our gold wire out. And what we want to do here is we want to take and put this through the spring. Or the coil. And we want to add about 1/2 to 3/4 inch on each side for our loops. So we'll cut that right here. And then I'm going to cut a second piece the same length. And then we're going to measure it because we want to make sure that we have enough wire to do for our outer coil. We want to make sure we make enough of long enough for it. This wire is a little bent up here. So we're going to take and we're going to measure this. And oh man, where's my, it's got a lot of kinks in this wire. Okay, now we want these about the same length, so we'll put them together and then cut them off. Push this wire back in some. Now I probably am going to get some square wire out because I think these makes a really interesting twist. But let's measure this, and when we have our square wire out, we will just twist some up and then we'll decide how. This is about 3 inches. So when we do our square wire, we're going to twist it. So it's going to take less wire than that. But we are or more wire, I should say, when we twist it. So we're going to put this in here. And then we're going to get our bell making pliers. And we're going to wrap a coil on either end. Now this coil is a little bigger than, I'm going to use the second one up instead of the original one. Go over there. And it looks like I probably cut more than I needed, which is fine. We can always cut some off. So it looks like I need to cut off about that much, so maybe up to the top of our loop right here. So good guess. So there is our base piece. We're going to do that with the same thing with this one here. And I'm just going to wrap this one right here before we put the coil in. Slide our coil on. Wrap again. Let's make sure we're going the right direction here. Now we need to cut this coil right about here and refinish our coil. There we go. So we have the 2 base pieces here. So we want to next get out our square wire. Square wire here, but I realized I did a no-no here. And that is, I did the loop on the second side and we didn't put our bead on. It won't go on. Oh yeah, it will. Okay, no problem. So there is our bead, and we're going to be wrapping it around this way, bing, so that it makes the coil with these loops being to the outside. So here is our square wire. And I am going to just cut, since we did cut some off, that should be enough for our loops, I would think. So I'm just going to cut a little over 6 inches of wire here. A little over, because even though we cut a little off, I want to make sure I have enough. So we're going to cut a little over 6 inches of wire. 6.5 sounds good. And then I'm going to get my wires, my bead twist out. And we're going to spin the one side up. This is a wire, wire twister. Or they call it a pin twist. So you open up your end here, drop your piece inside. So you might have to take your fingernail or something to pry it open just a little bit more, because sometimes the square wire does not want to go in here quite. Oh, come on, you. And that's because it's bigger than the twist spot. If I was using a smaller size gauge of wire, it would go in really easily, but because I'm using a bigger gauge, it doesn't want to. Well, come on, you. You know you'll take it. I've done you before. There we go. Got the tip in there. So we just push this up here, and then we take a pair of pliers. I think I'll take my square nose ones down on this end. And you just hold this end and then just twist. Now you can twist both the pliers and the twist if you want to get it going easier. Then when you get about what you want, like I've got right here, see that nice twist in that? Then just push this back down and pull it out. So there is our twisted wire. Now, if you'll recall, let's see if it shrunk at any. I've never measured it to see how much it shrinks it, if it even shrinks it at all. It shrank at about 1/4 of an inch, so we don't need that much, quite. And that's sort of good because it always damages the end when you put it in the twist. So we'll cut this twist off and this twist off. Now we should have that 6 inches or close to it. It's a little more still. So we'll cut this in half. Uh-oh, I just knocked that one onto the floor. The other half. So we will have to find that. But in the meantime, before I go and find that, we're going to just take our bell making pliers and we'll make this first loop here. And I'm going to take my regular pliers and turn this just a bit so it's not quite so. Like that. There we go. Now we want this to be more or less the same size as this one here. So we'll go over here, and you can see we are going to need to cut some off. And we'll just do our twist, and then see how much we need to cut off. It's probably going to be about half a loop. Yeah, about half a loop. So in we go, and do the rest of the twist. Oops, still need a little bit less. See, it's still a little longer than the one inside there. So we need a little bit less, not too much, just maybe about this much right here. Loop this baby. We'll see if we're closer now. Yep, that's pretty good. So now what we need to do is we need to take our wire mandrel here, and we're going to take and we're going to find where it bends to the best degree, and we're going to wrap the whole thing around like so. And I think we're going to have to go up to the next one. Well, maybe not. That one looks a little bit too small. So about right there. Now, as you can see, this is a little smaller than the one I made before, so I probably used like 24 inches of wire, but it's still going to be a very cute wire. So once we got that one done, which is, looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, we also take this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and bend it around. So they're about the same. Da, da, da. So now we want to push these in a little bit because it doesn't look like it's right at where those loops are at, but it's pretty good. So now that we've got that part done, we want to slide this big bead on, and it goes down here. Ta-da! So that's how that one's going to look. Now, if you want this, these a little bit smaller, this looped one, you can make it a teeny bit smaller. I usually make it about the same. So there is the first one in this part done. Now I have to find my twisted wire so I can do the other one. Found this piece. So now we're going to do its loops just like we did the other one. A little bit more. Bing. Okay, now we go to this side, and this side is the one we're going to cut some off of. And we know we're going to cut at least half a loop off, probably more like almost a full loop. So we're going to go all the way down here and cut it right here, and then we'll loop again. Hopefully we didn't cut off too much, since I didn't do it in increments like I did the last one. Now see, I did cut off a little bit too much. See, it's a little bit smaller. But I can fix that in one way by making this loop. It was a little bit long. So we are going to make, this is going to end up being just a teeny bit smaller than the other one, so we may fix that by taking just a teensy weensy bit off right here and bringing her back. Let's see how she still looks to her bottom piece. Okay, it's all right. So now this was number 5. So we need to go to 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put our thumb on it. Get our loops on the outside, and then then pull it around. Now we didn't want it to go to 4 because 4 was too small. 5 was about right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you want to, you can also, before you finish putting this together, you could harden it by smashing a bit, but they're pretty hardened because they've been worked so much. So come on, you go put the other one in there. The other side slid right together. This one wants to be difficult. There we go. So now we need to take and get some jump rings to do our top piece here. See, we have 3 jump rings to put it together. And so I'm going to squish these together just a little bit more. Maybe too much there, so that they will hook together easily. And I'm going to get some jump rings out to hang these up. Then we're going to have to get the pieces to make these. Oh, I used silver. Oh, well, so what? We've got 3 colors instead of just 2. And because of that, I think I'll just use some stainless steel ear wires. Okay. I always check to make sure how well they're working before I put them in, because sometimes, you know, they're not. So we can either use silver here or we can use gold, depending on what we want to do. I am just going to use whatever comes to handy. Right now we have some silver. Now this is a smaller silver, and usually I would use it because it has a smaller signature, but we're putting 2 pieces in here instead of just 1. So we're going to use bigger ones. And we need 3 per earring. Come on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we're going to get some of our tools out of the way is what we're going to do. We no longer need these. We're done with this one. But we do need our pliers. So we got to open up these and put both of our loops through our jump ring. Now this loop looks like it's pushed a little backwards. I don't want that because it won't go through easily that way. Come here, you. Now, like I said, these ones they're a little smaller than the last ones I made over here, and that is all due to how much wire I used when I did the coil, because we have to have everything match up. So the coil, I used 21 inches. If you want a bigger coil, use more wire. For instance, if I'd used 25 inches, it probably would have been closer to what that is. Okay, so now the last one of our 3 is going to go through both of these. Come on. 1, 2, and then it's going to hang on our ear wire. Now, because you want that gold loop to go in front, you got to make sure that you put your ear wire on the right way. And I noticed one of my jump rings isn't closed all the way over here. So now you could stop right here if you wanted to. There is our first earring. And you know, I think I'm going to switch this upper loop here, ring here, to a smaller one. I don't think it needs to be that big. even though the wires are pretty good sized and I could have maybe put in a smaller one there, I don't want to. Because you need that swing. This one is a little smaller. This is my medium size, and I'm pretty sure it will be fine for holding my ear wire on. So I'm gonna open this up, and again we're going to go through both of these. And then through our ear wire. Close this baby up. And it's not closing quite right, so grab hold of you. Oh, you're way close, not right. There we go. And squish you together there. Now see, I could have used the bigger one, but I like the smaller one because this is a slightly smaller earring than this one. See the difference? So now we'll do the same over here. We'll take the two bigger ones and put them on the bottom, and then this one's already open, so that's cool. And get those two pieces together. Go. Close this up. Get that smaller one and put our ear wire on. So now I hang them down like this so that I'm making sure that I get my oval jump rings going the same direction, because if you happen to get one backwards, it will make a nice kink in your earring when you try to stand it up, and that's never cool. Okay, this one also did the little wonky thing. Okay, so here is these two. Now, like I said, if you wanted to stop, you could stop right here and it would be perfectly fine. But we want to put on our dangle. So we got to get out a couple of wires. And we will go from there. Got a couple of ball head pins out. And what we want is the light crackle bead. And will this fit on here? You know, it looks, I think it would be fine, but it's a little bit loose. So I am going to get, oh, come on, where are my silver daisy spacers? Okie dokie, so we're going to get a couple of daisy spacers out. There's two right there. And what we're going to do, I think I straightened the other one instead of this one. Doesn't matter. We're going to get a daisy spacer for the bottom. One of these pretty lavender crackle beads. A crystal spacer. And one of these iris beads. And this is going to hang down here. So we want to do a little loop. So do the same on this one. Okay. Now this one has to have a large loop, and you're going to go, a large one? Why do you need an extra large one? Well, it has to go over this big, huge thing here. So it needs to have a large loop to go through that. So because it needs a large loop, we're going to use one of these spacers here. And I'm going to decide which one is better, this one or this one. I think the really big one is going to be the better one. So we've got to go into here as much as we can. And we're going to pull it around this big loop here. And bring her over, but we're going to leave it like a big gap like so. And then we're going to go through this loop here. Bring her around. Now see, I don't have it all the way around. I should have brought it more around than that. So we're going to pull it back out. Come here, you, come back out. And I'm going to round that some more because I don't have it rounded enough. See how it didn't go all the way around when I did that? So we need to bring it all the way around. So it's like so. Now we'll go through again. Now because I did round it, it'll probably be a little bit harder to get this bead into here. Oh, it didn't fight me too much. So now of course we do like we always do with a wrapped loop, and that is we hold these wires together. Come on, baby. Get in there and hold the wires together. Bring. Only got one. Gotta have both. There we go. Both. There we go. And I'm going to push this wire up some so it comes around where I want it better. And we'll take this pair of pliers here. Oops, we slipped out of place. Wrap it up. Trim it off. And tuck it in. That was not quite straight, so we gotta see if we could straighten her out some. And there's our earring all finished. So now we have to do the second one. So second one, just the same as the first one. Largest spot here, go in here. Now it's going to pull that up because it's the bell won't go in the same because it's not the loosest one. So we gotta bring it around and over, bring her down, bring her all the way over, and then we're gonna wanna, when we lollipop, it's gonna go the opposite direction as normal because it's going, you need to pull it to this direction. So now we go through our big bead. Get her over here. Bring your wires together. Still trying to fight with me a little bit here. So we want to bring them up as much as we can here. And you push this wire up some so it'll come in easier. And then wrap. Now it looks like this one's going to wrap a little nicer than the original one did, I think. Okay. And there it is. Our second one is done. So there's our pretty earrings using this style of pattern. Now, as you can see, these are shorter, but not by a great length. And these ones are tri-metal instead of just 2 metals. Well, actually, I guess this wire is gold, so I guess it is 2 metal, three metals on that one. So there we go. Our earrings are finished. Aren't those pretty? Putting all my tools away here. Here we go. There is what our earring looks like. Even though it's the same style and pattern as my original one, they look entirely different because the stones and such and the colors are different. Oops, my rose quartz is stuck a little bit there. So there is number 1 of the ones we made today, and number 2. Go straight. You're a little crooked there. And they're about yay long. So, actually, if you want to know how long they are, I can measure them. The drop itself is about 2 inches, so about probably a good inch shorter than what I normally wear, though these are, like I said, the pink ones that are my own personal ones are not that much longer, maybe 1/4 of an inch. So, again, if you wanted to, you could stop right with the big bead without adding the little additional piece onto here. Oops, sorry. It wants to slide sideways and I want to fix it. There it is. So the big bead's still sitting a little on its side, isn't it? Let's get it over here in the middle better. Nope, in the middle. There we go. And then number 2. So 1 and 2. And like I say, you could have stopped right here and not put the drop on, and that's also would have been a really pretty earring. So I hope you enjoyed making these with me. I think they're a fun and pretty design. I fought most of the battles with these doing the first pair, but I really like how they turned out. I like this pair too. I think they're very pretty. Again, there they are. And like I say, you could leave the bottom drop off and it would be still be a really pretty earring if you wanted to. And again, if you want them to be longer, I wouldn't make them much shorter. They're pretty, as far as the loop is concerned. I wouldn't make them much shorter. And that was about 21 inches we used to make the coil for those. And but if you wanted them to be bigger, like mine are bigger, I would say use about 25 inches of copper wire to make that coil. So those are them. I hope you enjoyed making these with me. It's been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and most of these wires were craft wires from SoftFlex. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.